Alright, everybody, this is going to be a special episode. This is being made because of the fact that this is July 3rd, and I probably will not be available for the 4th of July in order to make a video. And I want to make a video, especially now in today's age, about the United States, and think about this as almost my most patriotic video ever. And first off, for everybody to know, on a basic level, you should be goddamn fucking grateful for living in this country. Now, I hear people all the time. I'm 22 years old, and I hear people all the time, whether it was on a college campus, or whether it's in Brooklyn, or whether it's in downtown Manhattan, or whether it's on a Twitter forum online. They're constantly saying, oh, you know what, the United States, they're imperialistic, they're colonialistic, they're really a force for problems in the entire world. They kind of destabilize regions, they kill people with drone strikes, they just cause problems wherever they go. And honestly, the only thing I can say to those people is, man, do you have no perspective on world history? Seriously have no perspective on world history. Now, I just want to go back to the beginning of the 20th century. You're looking at a time where you have multiple world superpowers. You have, at this point, the Japanese starting to come into effect. You have the United States coming into effect. You have the Germans coming into effect. You have the British who are still there. You have all these countries who are, and the Russians. You have all these countries who are relatively on a balanced scale. They could kind of attack one another in terms where they want to all be the best. They all want to be that one superpower in the world because they want to spread their sphere of influence as far as they can go. Now, we knew what happened when the Russians spread their influence in this world. We're looking at starvation. We're looking at massive amount of death in terms of internments and in terms of work camps, labor camps. Again, famine. You're looking at the Chinese, the Great Leap Forward. What a fucking name. Again, tens of millions of people dead from the Chinese government exerting their influence over the world. Don't even get me started in terms of the Germans. The Germans extending their sphere of influence once you get, obviously, into the world wars. There was no good being done that we all can kind of come to an agreement that those countries did nothing but harm the world stage in terms of us getting along together, in terms of human well-being. Now, you look at when the United States became a world superpower after World War II, and let's say you go from the 50s onward. Let's go from 1900 to 1950. That is a fucking shit show in the world. That is a shit show. That is multiple world wars. That is multiple regional wars going on during that time. That is literally problem after problem. You're talking about not 10 years goes by without an issue going on a drastic stage in the world. You're looking from 1950 to 2000, the Korean conflict. You have an issue. You have a war in Korea. Now that, I'm not trying to make it seem like it wasn't important at all, but I mean, come on. You looking at the Korean conflict and trying to compare that to World War II. You look at Vietnam. Vietnam, there was a couple issues there. Obviously, we had some issues in Cambodia and some things that shouldn't have been done and some atrocities during Vietnam. That's fair. I don't deny that they didn't happen. But it's not the rape of Nanking. It's not the Holocaust. It's not the Great Leap Forward. It's not the Russian Revolution. Like, those things you cannot put on the same scale. Let's go, if you look after Vietnam, look at the Cold War. It's the fucking cold. We don't, that wasn't a concept which we can do. We couldn't go to war against the country on paper. We weren't putting 1,000,000 soldiers on the ground in Russia. This was a war on paper without the bloodshed that you got of wars in the past. And you look for after the Cold War, 1990 and forward. Like, you go from 1990 to 2020, that's 30 years of a lot of fucking peace. You had people die in the you had 9/11, you had the war in Iraq, the war on terror in Afghanistan. But you're looking at death. You're looking at military wars at a rate and a level that is so small. You're looking at 3 countries getting together to go to a war that might include a grand total in terms of casualties. Like, you're looking at a population boom at the same time. So if you're looking at how many people died during the war of terror, what are your guys' guesses out there? You can pause this and guess, and then I'll let you know. I'm looking right now in terms of how many people died. First article is The Intercept. America needs to reckon with the death toll of post 9/11 wars. Second article, Al Jazeera. The U.S. war on terror has killed over 500,000 people in a study. We're going to go to voanews.com. I don't even know what this is. But U.S. war on terror kills nearly 500,000 in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan. Alright, so a study. So this is coming from Islamabad. This is coming from Pakistan. Who, let's not forget, according to the United States, is literally holding on to the worst terrorist in the last 50 years. We're talking about Osama bin Laden. Like, a guy who literally just killed people his entire life. Like, that's either planned it and or physically killed people his entire life, from the times he was fighting the Russians to the times he was fighting the United States. And we're looking at Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan during 17 years. Now, if you take 17 years and you divide that out, if I take 17 years on 500,000 people dead, you're looking at 29,000 people dead a year. Or you're looking at the deaths of, what do we got, 6,300 American soldiers and contractors. Like, it's 29 grand versus people died during World War II. How many people died during World War II? 85 million people. What the hell? Fucking ads. Alright, so this is literally what happens when you got people that are trying to equate the two in terms of the United States being a force for evil. And our biggest war in the last 30 years, we're talking about 500,000 people killed. First of all, I think that's a pretty high number. And this is a number literally published on a report from the enemy, from the people the United States are attacking. And I would say you have to see some kind of bias there, but you're even looking at 500,000 over 17 years. You're looking at World War II in a matter of, let's see, I mean, literally not even close to as much time. So if they're taking the time for World War II date range, 39 to 45. That's 6 years. That's in 6 years. You kill 85 million people. Like, that's a number where you can't compare it to Afghanistan. Afghanistan, you're killing people on a way, way smaller level. But No, let's go back to the time it was before World War II and during World War II, where there was multiple superpowers, because the United States is not doing its job as the world superpower. That's a load of fucking bullshit. You know what? That's a load of fucking bullshit, and it's something I would fight every day. And looking at it in terms of July 4th, we really gotta come under the assumption that the United States is been a net positive on the world in terms of being the world superpower. In terms of human death and sorrow and issues, how much has the United States paid in terms of foreign aid in the last 40 years? So how much has the U.S. paid in foreign aid in the last 40 years? So United States foreign aid. So we'll go history. Wow, okay. So the Truman Doctrine, you have the United States program is the European Recovery Program, or the Marshall Plan. We literally paid money to have the United States rebuild itself. And it says here, from 45 to 53, the U.S. provides grants and credits amounting to $5.9 billion to Asian countries. Especially China and Taiwan got $1 billion, India got $255 million, Indonesia got $215, Japan got $2.4 billion, South Korea got almost $1 billion, $894, Pakistan got $100 million, and the Philippines got $800 million. All this aid was separate from the Marshall Plan. Like, the U.S. doesn't do enough, people are saying. In millions of dollars. We're talking about $18 billion. We're talking about $20 billion we spent in 2017 in terms of international development. You know how much we paid in terms of the Department of Defense? In terms of foreign aid coming from the Department of Defense? Another $14 billion. Like, I just don't see what people are talking about when they try to bring that up. And then the other thing is, we live in a place where the freedom of speech is huge. It's something that I do see as being a little bit under attack right now, and it's something we have to absolutely cherish. Like it's an absolute lottery ticket. Because not everybody has that kind of freedom of speech. And we've seen what happens when you don't get that freedom of speech in this world. But I just wanted to say, for this July 4th, I hope everybody recognizes how truly lucky they are and how grateful they are to live in my opinion, the best country on this earth, and or one of the best countries on this earth. Like, you live with such liberties and freedom that people in other parts of the country can't even dream of. Can't even dream of. We have a immigration problem in this country because of the fact that our country doesn't suck, alright? It's not shit. It doesn't suck. It's not a problem. People come to this country because of the fact we are doing so goddamn well. Now, that's where I'm going to end it. I'm going to do another video basically discussing the United States on a deeper level in terms of education and other factors, but I had to make this video because of the fact that we are a day away from July 4th, and I want this out. I don't know if I'll publish it today or publish it the day after the 4th on the 5th, but I want you guys to comment. Let me know if you guys have any debates you want to have with me. I'd be willing. You know what I really want is to see one of you guys that are viewing this to come on or comment or send me a message or anything and say, hey, I completely disagree with you, or I disagree with you on this. Let me prove myself why, and we can have a debate over the phone. We can have a debate sending messages back and forth that can be published for people to see, because I really think it's kind of crazy that this aspect of the U.S. being a force of evil in the world and not a force of good is so flawed. It's absolutely incredibly flawed going forward. But that's all. I hope you guys have a good July 4th. I hope you guys eat well, sleep well, have a great fucking time. Stay patriotic, and God bless America.